guys, thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about Batman movies. The good, the bad, and the bat nipples. Alright, if we're going to talk about Batman movies, we got to go all the way back to the original, the 1966 Batman the movie with Adam West, Burt Ward. This was a good, fun movie. It was very representative of the times, the 60s. It very much mirrored in a lot of ways what was going on in the comics. The comics had gotten much more lighthearted and kind of groovy, and that was just the way Batman was back then. Now, it doesn't necessarily hold up to what we today view Batman as, this very much Dark Knight character. But I think if you go back and you watch it and take it in as what it was supposed to be during that day, in that time, with the way society was, it very much is still a good Batman movie. It holds up. It is campy, it is cheesy, but it's still a lot of fun and a good Batman movie to check out. Okay, now we're going to fast forward over 20 years later and we're going to look at the 1989 Batman movie, put out by Tim Burton, starring Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. This was a perfect Batman movie. This was the first Batman movie I ever saw at the theaters. This is the one that made a big impact on me. This was probably the first superhero movie I had seen as a kid that made me go, wow. Now, this is just absolutely hands down one of the greatest examples of superheroes on the screen, much less a Batman movie in and of itself. Tim Burton did a fantastic job. Michael Keaton as Batman, although it was completely unexpected, and a lot of people got upset when they first heard about it, did a fantastic job. He did amazing. He played the character of Batman and Bruce Wayne perfectly to a T, better than any actor before or since, in my opinion. Jack Nicholson as the Joker is just a classic, an instant classic. He did a wonderful job. He portrayed everything we want out of the Joker and then some. It was just a great all-around movie. If you love the Batman from the late 70s and into the 80s, that true first appearance that we saw, at least in our generation, of this Dark Knight persona of Batman, you have to love this movie. It's just a great all-around Batman film. Now we're on to Batman Returns, a sequel to 1989's Batman. This is a great movie. We've got Tim Burton back at the helm. We've got Michael Keaton as Batman once again. We've got Michelle Pfeiffer portraying Catwoman and Danny DeVito playing the Penguin. Now, this is very much more of a Tim Burton feeling movie than the original Batman. A little bit of a dark carnival kind of whimsical feel, but still very well done. We still get that essence of the Dark Knight. Of course, Michael Keaton does a fantastic job as Batman and Bruce Wayne once again. The Penguin, as played by Danny DeVito, is fantastic. I think Tim Burton did take a little bit of license with the character, but still done very, very well. And Michelle Pfeiffer's portrayal of Catwoman, to me, is the best portrayal of Catwoman on screen, period, hands down. This is another great example of a Batman movie. We do get a little bit more, as I said, of this Tim Burton kind of whimsical twists to it, but it still retains its Dark Knight feel, and for that alone, it's definitely worth watching. Alright, now we're on to Batman Forever, and this is a very different movie than the last two movies with Tim Burton and Michael Keaton. This is no longer the Dark Knight. This is kind of a 90s pop culture twist on Batman. Now, is that a bad thing? I don't know. Some people probably think it is. I still find the movie very watchable. I still enjoy it. Is it a great Batman movie? No. But you've got Val Kilmer as Batman, Bruce Wayne. He does a good, solid job. You've got the Riddler, of course, is played by Jim Carrey, who's very over the top. I think he fit that role very well. And of course, we got Two-Face played by Tommy Lee Jones. The casting is very well done. The acting's great. It's just kind of a fun pop culture version of Batman. It was great for the 90s. I think it still holds up pretty well today, even though it's not that Dark Knight version. But all in all, I think it's a good movie. Definitely worth having in your collection. It's fun. It's pretty much, you know, a lot of the stuff you want in kind of a superhero movie. Well, I said it before, and unfortunately I have to say it again. Bat nipples. That's right, we're talking about Batman and Robin. This is just a horrible movie on every level. The acting, the casting, the writing, the directing, everything about this movie is bad. Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze, just a bad, bad idea. And the part that really sucks about this is the fact that I think in the right situation with the right writing, the right director, George Clooney could have made an amazing Batman. Okay, he has the potential to play a kind of a suave, debonair kind of guy, just like Bruce Wayne. You know, look at him in Ocean's 11, and of course he can play dark and gritty characters. If you've seen the movie The American, he would have played that duality of the character very well. I think he could have done both sides of the Bruce Wayne Batman character fantastically, but of course the script, the writing, everything was horrible, and we were left with this stupid, cheesy, campy, not even on purpose campy version of Batman where we had bat nipples, and It was just bad in every way. It was a horrible movie. If you like Batman, if you like comic books, or if you even just like being entertained, do not watch this movie. All right, now we're entering the Chris Nolan, Christian Bale era of Batman, the real dark, gritty Batman stories that we got, starting with Batman Begins. This was probably one of the best versions of an origin story for Batman I've ever seen, whether it's in a comic book, on a TV screen, in a movie, anything. This was just a great origin story for Batman. They picked a great villain, in my opinion, with Ra's al Ghul. It was just really well done, well written, well acted, well cast, well directed. Everything about it was done on a level that not only was it great for people who love Batman and love comic books, but it was just a good movie for anybody. It was so well done, it appealed to all audiences. And really, what more can you ask for in a Batman movie? And of course, now we're up to 2008's The Dark Knight. What is, by almost all accounts, the best Batman movie ever, and one of the best portrayals of the characters ever. The Dark Knight is crediting with giving us a fantastic representation of what the Joker is. This very antithesis to Batman. He is chaos and anarchy. Heath Ledger's portrayal was fantastic. It was just a great movie. The story, the acting, the cast, I mean, everything was done so well. And the timing and pace of this movie, the overall tone of the movie, just the message that this movie is trying to portray, where we're talking about, what is it to be a hero? What does it mean? What are we willing to sacrifice to do the right thing? We very much have the duality of the Dark Knight versus the White Knight when it comes to, Batman and Harvey Dent. And we really see what a true hero is and what it takes to be a hero and all the sacrifice that goes with that. I mean, it really is just a great story all around. One of, if not the best version of Batman among just about all media. Hands down, whether you like comic books, whether you like Batman or not, if you hate Batman, you still have to see this movie. It is so well written, so well done. There's just nothing more to say about it. And last but certainly not least, we have The Dark Knight Rises. Now, parts of this movie I love, parts of this movie I hate. One of the things I love is where the movie starts. We get to see Bruce Wayne at his lowest point after what happened at the end of the last movie, where he, as the hero, sacrificed himself for the good of Gotham City. And it's a great starting point for the overall plot of the movie, which was to see the Dark Knight rise again. We start him off at his lowest point. One thing I hated was Bane. Bane didn't belong in the movie. He was basically a glorified henchman instead of a main villain, and that was just wrong. Bane is a big bad. He needs to be portrayed that way. Basically, they brought him in to break the bat halfway through the movie so that we could see him rise again. But that didn't make sense, because the whole point of the movie should have been that he's rising from what happened in part 2. We already start out at his lowest point. We should have had him slowly rise throughout the entire film instead of letting him rise, get broken, and rise again. Just poor storytelling, in my opinion. And Bane wasn't used right. I did like Talia in the movie. I think having her as the main villain, the daughter of the main villain from the first movie, really kind of gave a full circle feel to the trilogy. I think it worked well. I think she was portrayed very well. Oh, I liked her in this movie. The biggest thing I hated about this movie was the end. When Batman, or Bruce Wayne, just walks away. He decides he's not going to be Batman anymore, pretty much for no really good reason, but just because he's tired of being Batman. Let somebody else do it. That is not the Batman we know from the comics. In the comics, he continues to be Batman well up into his old age. As long as Bruce Wayne can throw a punch, he's going to keep fighting for Gotham, okay? At the end of the second movie, he did step away from being Batman, but he did it for the good of the city. It was a sacrifice for himself. He didn't want to stop being Batman. He did it for the good of the city. This time, he just does it because he doesn't want to be Batman anymore. And that really takes away from the character for me personally. All in all, it is a good movie. If either you're not a Batman fan, or you are and you just don't care and you can overlook what they've changed from the comics, it is a very, very well done movie. I mean, the effects, the acting, the casting, everything is very well done. But if you're a Batman fan, you are going to find these things annoying, so that is something to keep in mind. Well, there you have it, guys. There is the good and the bad of the Batman movies. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Any questions, comments, leave them down below. I appreciate you guys watching. We'll talk to you later. Thanks.